Alright, hey guys, this is just a video to kind of help you through these assignments. I told you I'd post a week 5, or excuse me, a video 5 on how to find sources. I want to double check this because now that I'm doing it, I'm wondering if this actually already does that for you. Oh, okay, so it's not one of mine. Alright, so I'm going to give you another one to kind of supplement this video for, because I want to show you how to actually find them. Like, I know that video shows you how to find good sources, but I want to show you how to find good sources with Lindenwood resources, right? So the first thing you want to do is go to lindenwood.edu and go there, and feel free to pause this video if you need to and just kind of work at your own pace while I go through this. But the first thing you're going to want to do, well, wait for the video to load. Here we are. Now scroll down. On the left-hand side, you're going to see current students. Click on that. Now over here, once you click on current students, over here on the right, you should see library somewhere. There it is. So you click on library. And scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Now here, find it. You're going to want to go to databases. Now before we go any further, well, let me go ahead and get in there first. So you're going to want to go to Academic Search Complete, because this is going to have multiple databases. You see how there's like a million different databases, A through Z? This one's Academic Search Complete. It's, in my opinion, one of the most all-encompassing databases to where you're going to be able to get everything in one. You may not be able to get everything. Be able to get the most out of this one rather than hopping back and forth from one database to the other. So this is kind of the most encompassing one. So you'll log in here. If you're off campus, you'll have to log in. I think if you're on campus, I don't know if you have to log in, but it doesn't really matter. If you have to log in, log in. Okay, so go ahead and go to Choose Databases, because you're going to want to select all of them. Hit OK. Okay. Now this is where I'm going to kind of pause for a second, because I want to spend some time talking about sources. So let me pause this and clean up my board. Okay, so here's my board. Now, the thing that I want to kind of communicate here is what are we looking for as far as sources go. If you look at your guidelines that we talked about the last time we met, you need resources. So what I usually require is, and what I'm requiring this time, is those three need to be one scholarly, two published. Now, what does that mean? Published is, well, literally just about anything on the internet. Because if it's on a website, it's published. If on a web page, published. If it's on a, well, you can't really do anything on the internet that's not on a website or a web page, right? Because you have to get through a browser. I guess, like, maybe if you did like a video game, you cited a video game, that's not really published, so that wouldn't really work. But anyways, published also could be like physical books. So if you did a book, a journal, magazine, anything published. Now, scholarly, that's where it gets a little tricky. That's why I've actually showed you the EBSCOhost, and that was the database, the Academic Search Complete. That's where you're going to find your scholarly sources. And let me explain a little bit about what those are. When you have scholarly sources, they're peer-reviewed. And what that means is that an organization has a group of individuals, like kind of a board, right, a governing board, and they'll look over all the submissions to the journal. Now, when I say journal, a journal is designed to be kind of a collective book of research, of what we'll call empirical research. Now, let's talk about that for a second. There's really two types. There's empirical. If you remember last time we met, we talked a lot about correlations. Someone had asked the question of how do you know what percentage, we talked about causation and what percentage a particular variable uses, what percentage of a phenomenon is made up by a particular variable. Meaning, if we're looking at how many people have blue hair, what causes that blue hair? Or if we're looking at disrespectful children, I think is one we looked at. If we're looking at disrespectful children, what percentage of those disrespectful actions are made up because a student or a kid maybe got in a fight with as a kid, or maybe got abused as a kid, or something like that. So we talked about that. That type of research is called empirical because it's done firsthand. Now these firsthand, what I mean by firsthand, that means that the article is written in such a way that the author is saying, I did this. I did the research, and I'm reporting my results to you, the reader. You'll notice that if it's firsthand, it's going to have, sorry, not method. Well, we'll have methods too, but it'll have a results section, and the results section is going to be all these crazy numbers and formulas basically giving you the data that they gathered from their research. That's going to be like that. Remember when we talked about correlations, it was like R equals 0.32. That's the data that you're going to get in the results section. You don't necessarily have to read it, but that's how you know that it's empirical. Now, do you necessarily need empirical articles firsthand? Not necessarily, because not all journals don't exclusively publish empirical essay of first-hand research. Sometimes they'll publish second-hand, not second-hand, secondary research. It's handed down. Secondary research. Now, secondary research, what that means is that the author used data from other people, and they're kind of drawing on that data to prove a point. Now, what you're writing here, the causal analysis, that is actually a secondary source, right? That because you're using outside data, you didn't do any actual research. You're using someone else's research to prove your own point. That's what secondary is. Now, those are the two types of sources you're going to find, but majority of the time, scholarly is going to be empirical. Not all the time, but majority of the time, it's going to be empirical. They're going to have done research on their own and had it published by these peer-reviewed individuals. Now, also, a scholarly, it does also have to be published. That's kind of the two criteria for being scholarly. So it's like published is one level, but then if it's peer-reviewed, that's what makes a published source scholarly, right? So that's what we're talking about there. Now I'm going to pause the video and head back to the screen, so give me 1 sec. Okay, alright, so now we're back here. Now the reason I told you all that is because you're going to find your scholarly sources here. You need one, and so this is the best place to go to get it. So go ahead and click. You've already chosen all the databases. So here, let's go ahead and type your topic, whatever it is. So let's, I think one of the more difficult ones is probably going to be the littermate syndrome, sorry, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. I could be wrong. We might get a million sources here in just a second. And actually, sorry, one thing, I spelled it wrong, but one thing that's nice about this is that if you type things in, a lot of times you're going to get hits here. And so if you see something that matches what you're looking for, go ahead and click it here, because I don't know why, but for some reason you'll get more results often. You'll often get more results. Littermate syndrome. So again, that's not coming up with anything right off the bat, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. So go ahead and select all text, and go ahead and hit search. It might take a minute. Now, before we start looking at the results, I mean, you can kind of look at them there, but before you really dive into them, go ahead and go to this left-hand side over here, because this is where you can actually click scholarly. Now, any source you find in this EBSCOhost database, this Academic Research Complete, this screen right here, anything you find there is usable, but not all of it's scholarly. So remember how you could have 2 published and 1 scholarly, you can 3 total. You can find all 3 here, but you have to make sure you click over here on the scholarly journals to make sure you're getting your scholarly one, right? So go ahead and do that. Also, right below that, pick out something that's happened within the last 5 years, because that's kind of the gold standard on sources when we're doing research. Generally speaking, you want to stay within the last 5 years, because if you go beyond 5 years, then you're getting into the territory of, 7 years ago Pluto wasn't a planet, and then a couple years ago it became a planet again, right? And So you want to, what we consider up-to-date research is 5 years, and outside of 5 years, you start to run the risk of things changing and our understanding of things being different. So anyways, 5 years. So we're in what, 2018, so we want to do 2013. That kind of skews, it kind of puts you at a disadvantage here for littermate syndrome because the latest is actually 2016. So normally you do the last 5 years would be 2013 to 2018, but because there's been nothing going on from 2016 to now, you're a little bit limited, but that's just kind of the name of the game. So you click that and it updates it for you. And so here we are. These are kind of our leftovers. We have 39 sources that we can use to review these. And deletion of toll-like receptor 5 genes per se does not determine the gut microbiome profile that induces metabolic syndrome. I don't know what that has to do with littermate syndrome. Apparently, like I was thinking, there's not a whole lot of littermate syndrome. Am I spelling it correctly? Let's go to the Google and yeah, I guess that's fine. Littermate syndrome. Yep, we spelled it right. Okay. So I'm going to come up here, and if you ever have this problem, you can also put quotes on it, and that might help you get rid of some of these ones that don't really apply. We're not really interested in Down syndrome or the other one. Alright, so littermate syndrome is going to be tough here. So what I suggest is if you ever find a point where you can't find sources that are scholarly, of course you can still use anything published here, right? But now what do you do for the scholarly? Well, at this point you can still use these scholarly sources to find other details that you could use to prove your point. So for instance, let's say that we wanted to talk about we had talked a little bit last time we met about nature versus nurture, and let's say you wanted to talk about how you believe that it's more nature than nurture. Like nature is like genetics, so you're saying that littermate syndrome is more genetic rather than, actually I think you went the other way. I think you said it was more psychological because it was more mental than it was genetic, but I'm really not too sure. But anyways, I'm going to go with that. So you might say nature versus nurture. And you notice how there it popped up with in child development or in psychology on violent behavior. That's kind of where I'm going with this. I was actually going to say with animals, but I'm going to go with violent behavior. And so with that, you're going to be able to kind of add tidbits to your argument that are going to be able to prove your point for either what? No, really. Oh, right, sorry. So I need to put that on 2 lines. That's too much text to put in 1 line. But what I was saying was you'll be able to use these little tidbits to prove your argument is, I guess, viable, is possible, based on nature versus nurture. So you can kind of pick one and say, based on the source, it shows that this violent behavior can be genetic, or it can be mental, or maybe it could be both. And so that's just some of the sources you can use. So what I'm going to do here is I put in nature versus nurture, violent behavior. Pulling back the curtain on heritability studies, biosocial criminal in the post-genomic era. I don't really know what that means. Oh yeah, and I wanted to also plug in animals. And you could probably put in dogs here, I guess. And it's coming up here. Alright. Duplicates were removed. Psychiatry, okay. So I'm looking at this, and I'm noticing that most of this is social science stuff, and what we're talking about is animals. So I'm betting that if we go back to the databases, we're going to want to find something that has to do with maybe zoology or biology, agriculture, art. And so if you find yourself not being able to find something in this database, try a different database, because that could also be the issue here. I'm going to go to B, and I'm going to hope that biology is in there. Biomed, that might be a good route to go. Book, business. Let's see, what else could we do here? I'm going to put zoology. I don't have anything there. And I might go back to, okay, so Biomed Central, and then, oh, Science Reference Center, that might be a good one too. It's by EBSCO, so we probably already had it in the other one, but I'm going to click on this one just to try it out. Oh, Biomed Central, okay, so that's talking about this. So if you can't find a database that works, and the last option that you kind of have here, and this is one that I'm actually is pretty good, is scholar.google.com. Anything you put in scholar.google.com is going to be scholarly because that's what it's designed to be. So what we'll put in here is littermate syndrome. And of course, if you're not focused on this, if this isn't your topic, then these are just ways for you to look up whatever your topic is. It's just I knew this was going to be a difficult topic to find sources for, and so this is just something that I thought I would put out there. But you just replace it with yours. Hopefully, you won't have to dig this deep for sources. Alright, so there we go. We finally found one. Littermates, we got it's known problem, littermate syndrome, and so here you could use this one as a scholarly source to kind of define, where my camera, to define littermate syndrome. And so there's another one, the Labrador Handbook. That's kind of interesting. Apparently that one must have been peer-reviewed, but anyways, it's Google Scholar, so it's good enough for me. So go ahead and choose those sources. Now, once you choose those sources, now you'll come back and you'll open up my MLA Works Cited page example, and you'll download that. Well, loading up here, hoping. Anyways, what I'm going to tell you is to all the data is here. I've told you what needs to go there. The author's last name, the author's first name, the title of the web page. That's for everything that's not a scholarly source, that's online. If you're using something that is a scholarly source, then here's how you cite that one. And so essentially, you'll open up that Word file as soon as it opens. And you'll come in here and you'll replace all the author's last name with the actual last name of the author. So let me give you an example. If we were to pull up our source here, and let's say we're going to use this one by K. Humble. So we'll come back here, and for the author, last name first is Humble, comma K. The title of the article, which in this case is actually a book, it's called Friend for Life, The Extraordinary Partnership. I'm just going to put Friend for Life. My screen went black. What happened? There we go. Still black. My computer's being screwy, I think. I'll pause the video real quick. Okay. Okay, got it back up. So now, Kate Humble, Friends for Life, that's our title of our book. And the title of the, so this is actually a little different because hers is a book. A book doesn't have the title in quotes. A book has the title in italics. Now, how do you know that? Well, you come back here and you go to Google and you type in citing sources MLA OWL. OWL is the online writing lab at Purdue University, and you can come here and this will show you all the details that go into creating a works cited page. Okay, so they'll talk to you all about this stuff, and you'll come over here on the left. You'll find the one that applies to you. In this case, it's a book. And you scroll down to the basic book format, last name, first name, title of book, city of publication, publisher, publication date. So let's do that one. What did I say? So title of book, city of publication. So we need to look at the, I go back here and go to the city of publication. And this is going to be, there we are. So it looks like London, England. Oops, London. And then we need London, comma, the publisher, comma, the publication date. Publisher is Headline Publishing Group, comma, Headline Publishing Group, comma, the date published, which was 2016. Period. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that it italicizes. You might have to put something in quotes maybe, but these, you just go by the details that are here, because this is up to date. And so if you're not doing a book, which many people won't, you'll notice that these are all 2 lines, 2 and 3 lines, but this is only 1. That's okay. If it's more than 1 line, then it just goes on to the next one and you have a hanging indent that fixes that. But anyways, here, those are all the details for everything, so you just kind of use this for a scholarly article, probably, and if not, you come back here to OWL Purdue, find out which one applies to you, and use that outline for your sources, and then of course for the web page and everything like that. So basically, those are all your details. If you need anything else, be sure to let me know, and via email, phone call, text, whatever. And of course, like I said, I will be out of the country, but I will still be on email, phone calls, and stuff like that. So feel free to text or email. Probably email, because I'm not sure, being out of the country, how well I'm going to receive or be able to send text messages. So email is probably the best bet, because I'll be on Wi-Fi most of the time anyways, so I'll still get email updates. But anyways, that is that. And let me go back here just real quick. Once you get done with that, I'm actually going to unpublish the APA, because I don't think anyone's using it. I really don't want anybody to use it, because they probably won't use it again. So anyways, I'm getting rid of that one, so don't use APA. Make sure you use the MLA Works Cited page. Once you're done with it, you submit that here, and then your structure, that's the update from last week, where you had the structure. I looked over it and I said, okay, make sure you plug in your sources somewhere into the structure. You submit your thesis, which you actually have in your structure anyways, but you'll just cut and paste it into the thesis block, and then of course your 500 words or less for chapters 11 and 12. So if you have anything else, again, like I said, be sure to email me and I will get back to you with any questions you might have. And if otherwise, if everything goes well, then I will see you guys on the next time we meet, which I guess is the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd. So have a good week.